So we're gonna get started. This class is all about doing. All right, we're gonna learn everything by doing it. It's just like your instruments, honestly. Everything I show you in here, if you don't practice it, it's like grabbing your instrument and saying, I will learn how to do this, but I'm not gonna touch my instrument. That doesn't work, right? If you wanna get good at conducting with your technique, you have to pick this bad boy up, like every day, and put aside like 10 minutes and go, I'm gonna practice this gesture, this technique, this thing. You gotta do it. Because you have to build, just like your instruments, you have to build muscle memory. You have to be able to do all the things I show you without thinking about any of them, right? When you're in the moment. Just like when you play in a performance. In a performance, hopefully you're not thinking about all the things you were working on. You're just expressing yourself through the music. And that's the same with conducting, all right? This is the list for today. We're gonna start at the top, we're gonna work our way down. Ask questions as much as you want, and let's just let her rip. So, we're gonna start first with the batons. You all have batons now. Just a quick sort of overview of what we got here. So, the baton, nice and easy. You know, people say we just wave a stick. All right, here are the parts of the baton. There's the bowl, right? The shaft, and the tip. Easy enough, it all makes sense. But there's a little bit more to it, okay? You wanna try to find the baton that sort of matches your grip. Now, I default to, honestly, like, whatever you get used to, is gonna work for you. But a couple of things to consider as you buy your own, because I'd really like you to all think about purchasing your own. I'll bring the box every week, but you really just wanna have your own, okay? So go ahead and stand up, because we're gonna start right away with this. The baton is an extension of your arm, okay? So it should not, like I can hold it in all kinds of different ways, but you'll see that some don't look right. And the best way for you to figure out if it looks right is to practice in the mirror. You know what you like when you see a conductor, right? How many of you, by a show of hands, how many of you have seen a conductor you're like, ooh, I just like the way that looks, or I like the way that was communicated, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen a conductor where you're like, okay, now I'm not sure. Like, there was even a moment where it's like,
I've seen all
not sure.
sorts.
Okay, cool. A lot of it can start right at the beginning with the baton, how the baton is held. So you notice, even as I'm holding the baton, I can do all different kinds of things, and each one of them gives a different feel, right? They all give a different feel. Check it out. Here's what I want you to do. Take the baton, open your right hand. By default, we conduct with the baton in the right hand, okay? If you really have an affinity to go to left hand, let me know and we'll work around that. But because conducting requires both hands, right? There's no logical reason to say, I've got to put my baton in the other hand. Because you're going to use both hands when you conduct all the time. They both have different functions, okay? So, you're going to open your right palm, you're going to put the bulb right smack in the middle of your palm, okay? Now, you're going to close it up with your fingers. Now, you don't grip the baton with all your fingers. Do you have here, any percussionists in here? We have a fulcrum that we're going to use. The fulcrum is the grip, which is going to be the thumb and the first finger. That's what's going to hold the baton in place. So you're going to put the bulb in, you're going to turn your palm around, and grip the baton. Yeah? Notice my fingers are sticking out. I'm going to change that in a minute, but just I'm doing that so I can show you. All right, Angel, feel free to kind of come around, maybe even on the side here, just so you're not behind anybody. You can see everything, okay? All right, so this is kind of what it looks like now. Everything I'm going to show you here is sort of like just the defaults, like you can fundamentally go back to this. As you progress and you decide in a few years you want to try something else, or you've studied with somebody else, or you've taken a different conducting class, you might find other techniques and gestures that you like, that you feel are more communicative. So use those, use them all, have them all ready.
Do you grab it by the shaft at all?
No, okay, so good question. So James is asking, like, where does it actually grip? Well, this is now where we're talking about which one works for you, okay? So usually by default, all right, if you've got it in here and you're gripping it, that, you notice on mine, the grip is between the shaft, the base of the shaft, and the bowl. That's sort of where I'm defaulting to. And that feels really good to me. Okay? There's a lot of people who talk about, like, do you have a good baton, does it balance and all that stuff, and that's where you hold. Okay, that's all good, we can talk about that later. For now, I want to just get you started with thinking about what kind of baton you want to grab and how long it's going to be, okay? So I've done that. Now, we have about 3 different bowls in the class today. So if you want to switch with somebody else to see how that feels, once you've done that grip, just curve your hands over underneath, yeah? You don't need to grip them with those 3 fingers, and that's really important. Look at the difference here. Oh, there you go, look at, they're grabbing other things. You can trade with each other too, if that's faster. You can just, yeah.
smaller,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be harder to grip.
Now, we have all different kinds of bulbs. I don't have a bunch here, but there's like nice pear bulbs. There's all different shapes of bulbs. And in fact, this black one here. Somebody took the black one.
Did you put it back?
That's okay. If you took the black one, that probably has the most unique bulb in the room today. If you did, somebody grab it? Okay, Nathan's got an interesting bulb. Look at his shape. Did someone grab the black one? No, there was a black, oh, it's right here, sorry. Well, that's what you have to decide, but I'm gonna show you. Okay, so here's another one, if somebody wants to try this one, okay?
Oh, yeah, that's just my hands. This one's too small, this one's too big.
Okay, so just grab a few and head on back, show you some more things.
So you're grabbing
Yeah. So what's cool is I'm watching you guys, like you're already, whether you like it or not, you're already realizing there's a difference. Every time you grab a different one, it's like, oh, that feels different. Yeah, that's kind of important because you're gonna be holding this in your arm a lot for many hours. So, one of the things you'll think about when you go shopping is don't buy the cheapest ones. Sometimes they actually feel really good, but the problem with the cheaper ones is they're really light. Like they're made of cork, like some of you have, right? It's not real wood, it's really light. And it's, in my opinion, a lot harder to work with something than basically it feels like you're just holding a piece of paper in your hand. There's absolutely no weight to it.
Yeah, this one like it's heavier, but then I like how this feels on my
Okay, yeah, so you gotta find, you can find like a wood one that's got, that doesn't use cork, right? Okay, so check it out. Who was it? Bobby, I think, was asking, or somebody, cause, oh no, it was Gerardo. His hands were way out here. I'm gonna move, his fingers ended up here, his grip was way out here. He's like, is that how it should be? You notice it feels really weird that far out because there's a massive gap, right, in the bulb. Unless you've got to have like a longer bulb that goes out there. All that to say is find the grip that works for you. Again, for me, the default is, you'll notice on mine, if you look really close, it's worn right at the shaft. Because that's where I'm always resting, right there. Okay, it just feels good to me. So that's one aspect of it, just the actual grip. So that you're not doing, so it should feel natural. You're just closing your hands. Yeah? The other thing is the length. Again, in my opinion, you will get used to whatever length you have. All right? The standards are 12 inches, 14 inches, 16 is pretty long. All right? Mine, I like a 16-incher. That's just what works for me. I really like it. And so when I come out, and we're gonna do this in a second, do our stands, the baton feels just really natural to me. When I use a shorter one, it feels like I feel like I've cut off my baton a little bit. I am sure that's mostly because that's what I trained with for several years, and that's just what I like. If somebody would have given me a 12-incher to start with, I bet you I'd be like, I like the 12-incher. Okay. So all that to say, as you go and find your batons, don't just grab any regular one. Like if you go to a conference or something, like instruments, you go try them out. You're like, okay, that feels, yeah. But now you're not just like holding it and going, you know, or walking around like I see people go, oh, let me see it. No, you're trying to figure out. You see people do that like, oh, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. But actually, you should be checking like, okay, how's the grip in there? And then you should be checking the stand. Nice, Gerard. Yeah, see how far you can throw it. Because you need to do that with the students, right? No, wrong.
Gotta use the stand.
All right. Okay, so we're good with the grip for now? Let's come back to it because we need to get to the next part to figure out like this length thing.